Greetings, dear listener. Today I will tell you a fascinating story about the great detective Hercule Poirot, which unfolds in the ancient Grand Hotel La Flambe. When an invitation to the truth or dare game turns into a real fight for the legendary Blackfire diamond, each participant is forced to reveal their darkest secrets. Enjoy listening. Chapter 1. Invitation to Hell. That evening, the London fog seemed to conspire with fate to create the perfect atmosphere for the upcoming events. Hercule Poirot, sipping his favorite lemon tea in a cozy Baker Street study, held an unusual invitation in his hands.
Dear stranger, read the elegant, intricate note.
If you consider yourself brave and ready to challenge your destiny, come to the Grand Hotel La Flambe at midnight tonight. A game awaits you here that will change your life. But beware, some games are dangerous. Poirot thoughtfully rubbed his little mustache. Such mysterious invitations always aroused his particular interest, especially when at the bottom was the signature Count Vendigo, a man shrouded in legends whom no one had ever seen. At midnight, Poirot entered the magnificent hotel hall. He was met by a liveried doorman dressed in 19th century attire, who escorted the detective to a specially decorated room. There, a motley group had already gathered. Miss Harper, a famous actress with a dark past. Sir Reginald Watson, a banker whose rapid enrichment was suspicious. Professor Morgan, an expert on ancient cultures, the young Count de Lorraine, whose name often appeared in scandalous columns. And, of course, the mysterious host of the evening, a man in a mask who introduced himself only as Vendigo. "Welcome to our game Truth or Dare," he announced in a theatrical voice. "Each of you will receive a special task. Completing these tasks will lead us to the grand prize of this night, the legendary diamond Blackfire." But just as the game began, another participant entered the room, a tall blonde man in a black tailcoat, who introduced himself as the Hunter. It was then that everyone realized the night would be extraordinary. Poirot noticed a strange detail. The clock on the wall showed exactly midnight, but its hands were slightly damaged, as if someone had deliberately stopped them. This was the first of many coincidences that awaited unraveling. Chapter 2. The game begins. "Well, gentlemen," Vendigo clapped his hands, and strange purple lanterns lit up, casting fanciful shadows on the walls. "To each of you, I will hand out a special task. By completing them, you will get closer to the grand prize." Miss Harper received a mysterious envelope with a note: "Find the black glove among the maid's belongings on the 4th floor." She disappeared, swaying her red curls. Sir Reginald was given a more difficult task: decipher the code in an ancient book that stands on the shelf in the library. He nervously adjusted his tie and hurried to the indicated place. Professor Morgan had to decipher an ancient symbol inscribed on the wall of one of the corridors. "This is something from Aztec culture?" he muttered, putting on his glasses. Count de Lorraine received the most intriguing task: find the man in the red cloak and ask him for the password. And Poirot received a small silver key. On it was an inscription: "Open the door that cannot be opened." The Hunter observed all this from the side, his piercing blue eyes attentively following every move of the participants. Suddenly, a scream rang out. It was Miss Harper. She had found not only the black glove but also a strange map with marks in the form of black dots.
It seems our tasks are interconnected,
Poirot said, examining his map, which he had discovered in the keyhole of a door that could not be opened. Chapter 3. The first turn of fate. The clock struck 2 in the morning. The game participants gathered again in the main hall. Each brought something interesting. Miss Harper, a map with marks. Sir Reginald, a decoded text. The key to the mystery is in the old clock mechanism. Professor Morgan, an ancient formula, the translation of which read, "Only clean hands can reach the treasure." Count de Lorraine, the password, "Love kills." But what surprised everyone the most, the Hunter claimed he saw the man in the red cloak entering the basement through a secret passage. "My friends," Poirot stroked his little mustache, "I think our game is becoming more serious than we anticipated. These tasks form a single puzzle." At this moment, everyone heard a strange sound coming from the basement. It sounded like someone was trying to open an antique safe. When the group descended into the basement, they saw a strange mechanism resembling ancient clocks. On it were marks that matched those on Miss Harper's map. "I believe," Poirot said, "that our legendary diamond Blackfire is inside this mechanism. But to open it, we need to correctly arrange all parts of the puzzle." And then a shot rang out. Chapter 4. Secrets of the Clock. After the shot, a deathly silence reigned. Everyone froze, trying to understand what had happened. In the corner lay Sir Reginald Watson, unconscious but alive. That was a warning shot. said the hunter, emerging from the shadows. Someone doesn't want us to find the diamond. Poirot carefully examined the mechanism of the ancient clock. It had strange symbols resembling astronomical signs. Gentlemen, he addressed the gathered group, I think this mechanism is more than just a safe. It's a calendar that indicates a specific date and time. Professor Morgan confirmed Poirot's suspicion. This is indeed an ancient astronomical Inca calendar. It shows a rare astronomical event, the conjunction of 3 planets. Miss Harper remembered her map, and there were also marks on it that coincide with the positions of these very planets. At this moment, Count de Lorraine discovered another detail, a small button hidden behind a decorative grate. When he pressed it, part of the wall began to slowly move, revealing a secret passage. It seems we need to continue the game elsewhere, Poirot noted, taking out his silver key. Chapter 5. The Secret Passage. The secret corridor led the group to an ancient chapel. In the center stood a huge stone table adorned with intricate carvings. On the table lay 4 objects: a gold coin with a sun depiction, a black ring with a ruby, an antique compass, and a pistol. It's clear that each object is connected to one of the participants, Poirot said, examining the compass. But which one is the real key to solving the mystery? Suddenly, a rustle was heard. Out of the shadows emerged the man in the red cloak. This was the unknown participant that Count de Lorraine had seen. You're all mistaken, he exclaimed. I know where the Blackfire diamond is located, but I don't intend to share this secret with you. The situation began to escalate. Each participant started revealing their true faces. Miss Harper admitted she had once been a jewel thief. Sir Reginald turned out to be a fraudster specializing in counterfeit securities. Professor Morgan wasn't much of a scholar. He was seeking an easy way to get rich. Count de Lorraine, it turned out he wasn't a count at all, just a simple adventurer. And who are you? Poirot asked, addressing the man in the red cloak. I'm just, he began, but didn't have time to finish his sentence. A massive stone slab began to fall from the ceiling, blocking the exit. It seems our game is becoming more dangerous, Poirot muttered, observing the events. And now we will either have to find a solution or remain here forever. Chapter 6. The History of the Diamond. To get out of here, we need to understand the true history of the Black Fire, Poirot said, taking out his small notebook. Let's gather all the facts. Miss Harper remembered an old legend. They say the diamond was found by the Incas and considered a sacred stone. But when the Spaniards came to South America, they stole it. Professor Morgan added, interestingly, the carvings on the table show symbols similar to those the Incas used to mark important events. Suddenly, Sir Reginald, who had been silent until then, made an unexpected confession. I know the truth about the diamond. My grandfather worked in a museum where a collection of ancient artifacts was stored. Once he found a document that said Blackfire was hidden in a special place. What kind of place? Poirot asked tensely. In the heart of the clock, Reginald whispered. But these were no ordinary clocks. It was a mechanism that showed the way to a secret place. At that moment, the man in the red cloak approached the table and took the gold coin. Something clicked in the wall behind him. You've just triggered a trap, Poirot exclaimed. Step back quickly! But it was already too late. The floor began to slowly descend, revealing a deep pit. Chapter 7. Fate is decided. Fortunately, the floor stopped halfway, creating a makeshift platform. Now the group found itself between a rock and a hard place. Plaster started falling from above, and water began rising from below. We have only a few minutes, Poirot said, carefully examining the objects on the table. Each of them must have significance. Miss Harper noticed that the black ring fit perfectly into one of the decorative niches in the wall. When she inserted it, there was a soft click. Professor Morgan understood the purpose of the compass. It's not just a direction indicator. It's the key to deciphering the symbols on the clock. Count de Lorraine, who had seemed the least reliable participant until now, made an unexpected move. He rushed toward the falling debris to save the gold coin, which was nearly crushed by a falling beam. Now we know why each of us is here, Poirot said, putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. We need to use all 4 objects simultaneously. At that moment, the man in the red cloak made one last attempt to seize the treasure. He grabbed the pistol and pointed it at the group. Stop. I'll be the first to find the diamond. But Poirot was faster. He noticed the final detail, a small button on the table that activated the final mechanism. Chapter 8. The Final Mechanism. You're mistaken, my friend, Poirot said calmly as he pressed the button. The table began to slowly rotate, revealing a niche with 3 slots for the objects. The man in the red cloak froze, pistol raised. If you insert those items, the diamond will be mine. And if we don't? Poirot asked. Then in 10 minutes this room will be completely flooded. I saw a water meter on the wall. At that moment, Miss Harper made an unexpected discovery. Look at the carving. It shows the correct order for inserting the objects. Professor Morgan helped her decipher the symbols. First the compass, then the ring, and finally the coin. But when they tried to insert the last item, there was a loud click. The floor began to tremble. We're doing something wrong. Miss Harper exclaimed. Poirot carefully examined the mechanism. I think there's another key. The very silver key I received at the beginning of the game. When he inserted his key into an additional slot, the mechanism worked properly. A hidden compartment revealed an antique case. It's here, Count de Lorraine whispered. Chapter 9. The Revelation. Inside the case was indeed the legendary Blackfire diamond. But before anyone could take it, Poirot made an unexpected announcement. Gentlemen, allow me to introduce the true organizer of this game, the man in the red cloak. But he is more than just a participant. He is someone we already know. The man in the red cloak removed his hood, and everyone recognized him as Vendigo, the very enigmatic host of the evening. You are all my candidates, he admitted. The game was designed to find a worthy custodian of the diamond. Each trial tested your qualities, honesty, ingenuity, courage. At that moment, Sir Reginald attempted to grab the diamond, but was stopped by Poirot. My friend, you forget the most important rule. Whoever wishes to possess such a treasure must be ready to deserve it. Vendigo smiled. That's precisely what I was looking for. And now, gentlemen, allow me to explain the true history of the Blackfire. It turned out that the diamond really did belong to the Incas, but it was never stolen. It had been entrusted to safe hands to preserve the cultural heritage. Only those who pass all trials with honor can become its custodians. And you, Monsieur Poirot, Vendigo addressed him, have proven to be the finest detective I've ever encountered. You uncovered every secret and maintained your integrity until the end. Chapter 10. The Truth Unveiled. But why me? Poirot asked, carefully holding the diamond in his hands. Why did you choose me among all the participants? Vendigo smiled enigmatically. Because you were the only one who could see the true purpose behind the game. Each of you displayed your best qualities. Miss Harper, courage. Sir Reginald, resourcefulness. Professor Morgan, knowledge. Count de Lorraine, self-sacrifice. But only you, Monsieur Poirot, managed to combine all these qualities into one. Suddenly, the sound of approaching footsteps was heard. It was the police, summoned by the hunter even before the game began. I always knew there was more to this story, he said, removing his mask. Beneath it was Inspector Japp, an old friend of Poirot. Inspector? Poirot exclaimed. How did you end up here? When you received that strange invitation, I immediately suspected something was amiss, so I decided to join your group incognito. At that moment, Vendigo made an unexpected statement. Gentlemen of the police, allow me to explain the situation. This diamond is part of an ancient cultural heritage. I organized this game not for personal gain, but to find a worthy custodian of this treasure. Inspector Japp thoughtfully rubbed his chin. It seems, Monsieur Poirot, that you were right again. Your game was complex, but fair. However, he turned to Sir Reginald. As for you, my dear fellow, you've landed in a rather delicate position. Your fraudulent activities require closer attention. Reginald paled. But I helped solve the puzzles. Yes, but your methods weren't always honest, Poirot gently pointed out. Miss Harper, who had already changed out of her theatrical dress, approached Poirot. And what will happen to the diamond now? I will transfer it to a special fund for the preservation of cultural heritage, Poirot replied. Such treasures should not belong to a single person. They are the legacy of all humanity. Vendigo nodded. An excellent decision, Monsieur Poirot. You truly proved to be a worthy winner of this game. As dawn painted the horizon with its first rays of sunlight, the group of participants stood on the roof of the Grand Hotel La Flambe. Each of them understood their role in this remarkable story. And do you know, gentlemen, Poirot said, looking at the rising sun, what is most important in such stories? Not the treasure itself, but the path to it. It is through trials that we learn the true value of things and people around us. Epilogue. Several months later, a new exhibition opened in one of London's museums, where the legendary Blackfire diamond was the main exhibit. Beside the display case, a plaque read, donated by Hercule Poirot in gratitude to all those who helped uncover the mystery of the great game. And Poirot himself, sipping his favorite lemon tea, sometimes recalled that night at the Grand Hotel, when a simple game of truth, or dare, turned into one of the most intriguing mysteries of his detective career. And so, dear friends, the story of the mysterious night at the Grand Hotel will forever remain one of the most unusual in the archive of the great detective. I hope you enjoyed this fascinating journey into the world of mysteries and detective stories with Hercule Poirot.